there were some initial discussions about when that first look at Breath of the Wild came out. I want to say E3 of 2015, where we got the cel shaded look and this mysterious person that we didn't even know if it was Link necessarily. We didn't even know if it was male or female. Just someone in a blue shirt firing mystic electrical arrows while on a horse at this big mechanical laser
Crab.
firing crab ball leg thing. And a lot of people are like, "Wow, is this new Zelda even going to have Link in it? Like, who is this character? Is this Zelda?" And now of course we know it's like, no, it's Link. And you want that green tunic, you're gonna have to
work for it.
Not just even play the story. It'd be interesting even if you play through the game. If you could play through the game without even getting the green tunic, that'd be pretty neat. So with this story, and I've seen the reason why I brought this up is because some people are actually complaining about this, but there's not going to be an option to make Link female. And Aonuma, IG Aonuma, the producer for the Zelda series for a long time now, when asked about it, he said, "We thought about it and decided that if we're going to have a female protagonist, it's simpler to have Princess Zelda as the main character." Then he said, "If we have Princess Zelda as the main character who fights, then what is Link going to do?" Taking into account that, and also the idea of the balance of the Triforce, we thought it best to come back to this original makeup. And I guess he means idea, the idea about it. So I guess the reason why some people are getting upset is because Link he's pretty much an avatar. You've always been able to name him, although I don't think you'll be able to give him a name in this one, because if we're having voiceovers with people talking to Link and calling him by name, that pretty much means you're not going to be able to give him a name unless they do something really, really clever with the voice acting.
They could do what they did with Fallout 4, where like they had like 1,000 names, like 1,000 most common names in like America or like ever, and like if you picked from that list, like some characters would call you by that.
Huh, okay. I don't see Nintendo going to that length.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if they're going to be using the same voice acting that we heard in the demo at this last E3, all of those lines of dialogue would need to be recorded with 1,000 different names.
Yeah.
But my argument for this is, okay, so number one, would it upset me if you could make Link female? Not really. I don't think his gender is too important for his character. It would be a bit weird because he's always been male. Princess Zelda has always been female. And I guess my argument with it is Link's not as much of an avatar as we would all like to think. Even though he doesn't really have much in the way of personality, that doesn't necessarily make him or mean that you can make him into whatever you want to. He fits an archetype character. He harkens back to a knight, a medieval knight. You don't have female medieval knights. They did not exist. So, and princesses are women, not men. So I think we're at this point in cultural history where I think we become really obsessed, like unhealthily obsessed with gender and gender roles and re-identifying what it means. Um, and I kind of think that I wish we could leave certain things in the discussion of cultural issues and political issues and just kind of leave video games out of it.
Yeah.
You know, if a developer wants to make a game where you can create a character based on anything, go wild. But Zelda has never been a game like that. And I mean, we even have like a timeline. How weird would this game look in the timeline if, Zelda could be a guy or a girl? Because people like to theorize, like, well, did like an Ocarina of Time, did Link marry what's the girl's name from the ranch? Malon. Did he marry Malon? And then like his line continued, you know, another Link, descendant from his line, from the Hero of Time's line. People like to theorize about that. When you start changing the gender of the character, though, that kind of takes the fun out of it because you're like, okay, well, who did this character, have children with?
Yeah, at that point, it's fan fiction.
Yeah, exactly. And this is I kind of feel like Zelda is very much, well, I think most people would think Zelda is very much, it's a world building fantasy. It's like a Lord of the Rings, where you just have certain characters be male, you have certain characters be female, and the reason that they have these genders assigned to them is for the point of the story. And I think that's what Aonuma is trying to say here. He basically is saying, look, we need a character to complete certain roles. Zelda in Skyward Sword is doing all kinds of stuff in the background. Like, she's not the typical damsel in distress archetype. She's doing things on the side that Link cannot do. So would it be neat to have a game where you play as her, like almost like a Skyward Sword, another story kind of deal, where you actually play as Zelda in that role? Yeah, I think that would be fine. But you still need to have that experience with Link, almost like a Resident Evil setup, where you play as Chris or Jill, and you play as both characters doing different things in the storyline, but you do get that experience of playing as two separate characters. That would be kind of neat in a Zelda game. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But this talk about making, and they did kind of appease the fans in Hyrule Warriors with Linkle, the character who, I guess she uses crossbows instead of a sword. But she, like, when I look at Linkle, she is definitely not Link. She's like a completely new original character. She's very chipper. She obviously has a different personality than Link has. And I think that's, sometimes I have this discussion about, when you change a certain aspect of a character. Look at Batman / Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is a 30 to 40 something year old white rich man. If you change any of those aspects about Bruce Wayne, he is no longer Bruce Wayne. You now have a different character portraying Batman, and that's fine to have. If you want to make the exact opposite of that into Batman, well, that would be an interesting story, but it wouldn't be Bruce Wayne. You can't simply take a character and change something about them and expect the character to be the same. Same with Spider-Man / Peter Parker. He's a nerdy white kid from Queens. If he was a nerdy white kid from Los Angeles, it would be a different story.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts?
Um, I guess I don't want to talk a lot about like the like you said about the like the political side of things like that, but I guess recently with talk of gender identity, a lot of people have been saying stuff like that. And a lot of games that have been coming out have been able to like you can either be guy or female depending on who you are. And uh that's always been a decision that I guess a lot of gamers have liked because, you know, as like medias and TV or movies or stuff like that show, like they'll show like a video gamer who's playing a game as a female, but the player's a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and like vice versa, girls playing as guy characters. And I guess that's just something that people like to have. It's just like a choice. And with a lot of games like that nowadays, there is always, or not always, but more likely now is like a choice of who do you want to play as.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are some games that you just can't do that with. Like you can't change the like if they were to release a Mario title, and enough people complained about like, oh, Mario's getting too much, like praise because he's a dude or whatever, and then they're like, okay, female Mario. It's like, who's he
Or
saving?
or
Mario?
or he's not Italian.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not get into. And by the way, I am part Italian, so I can talk about this issue freely, even though that's a stupid rule to have.
That's not fair to me.
But I'm sorry, Mario's an Italian stereotype. You
Yeah.
know, you don't hear anyone complaining about that
No.
because it's dumb to complain about.
Yeah.
And I don't hear people wanting to. Although there's a cosplayer who does it. I don't hear any calls to make Lara Croft male in Tomb Raider.
Yeah, because that would completely change the character and the game.
Yeah. And for the longest time, we didn't, Uncharted, the series, was inspired a lot by Tomb Raider and Indiana Jones. And the Tomb Raider series goes back a lot farther than Uncharted does, but no one was like really calling for a male version of this character. Those are two very different experiences in video games, and they've kind of borrowed from each other, and they're better for it.
Yeah.
So, but do we need to make Nathan Drake into a girl? No. Do we need to make Lara Croft into a man? No.
Yeah. And when I when I saw this new Link character, I was thinking, I had just assumed, just seeing the person, it's like, it's got to be Link. Like, yeah, he's got like a really long ponytail, but like, he has a similar face to Link. Just riding a horse like Link normally does. Using a bow and arrow, Link normally does. Although the arrow was entirely new. Not saying it was Epona either, but Link is known to ride a horse. Just assuming it was him. And then a lot more people started coming up with theories like it could be a girl. It's like, is this like Linkle's story? Because like that was a big thing for a while for uh, a group of friends of mine. They were really excited that like, oh, there's a female version of Link, and I just looked it up. Like that's what I was doing while I was listening to you talk. I was like, is Linkle supposed to be like a guy version of Link? And no, it's an entirely new character. Um,
See, I didn't even know that officially that she's an entirely new character. She just strikes me as a completely different character.
yeah, but a lot of people just ran with it. It's like Linkle, it's the same thing, but if Link was a girl, it's like no. I looked it up on like the Legend of Zelda wiki, so it could be wrong just because Wikipedia like can be, you know.
It's
But
not infallible.
I know, right?
If we
But
can't trust Wikipedia, what can we trust, Matt?
I don't know. It's like the whole internet could be lying, but no, that's not likely. But like a lot of people are looking for like strong female characters in different things, like shows, movies, video games, and not to go into it, but a lot of people complain when there isn't. And I feel like for this, I don't know if a lot of people know about this yet, but even though like every Legend of Zelda game other than Hyrule Warriors, which really isn't it's not a canon Legend of Zelda game.
No.
You've only been able to be Link, and although it's never shown in the games like what Link's gender is, it's just assumed that he's a guy because
He's referred to
look
a
at him.
guy in the game.
Yeah, and like the noises he makes sounds like a dude, and you know,
The boy without a fairy in Ocarina of Time.
yeah. So Link has just been a guy all the time. And I feel like if anyone complains about it, I was like, oh, well, there could have been like all these theories. Like, that's what they are. They're just theories. Like, they're not even canon. Some fan made that up about a possibility. Like, we could talk about for hours on like along the lines between like a Legend of Zelda game, like Link could have had a daughter and he could have trained her as a warrior, and then that could have been made into a game.
Mm-hmm.
But that entire like that's not a real thing. That's just a hey, what if this?
Yeah.
It's not canon and it's not Nintendo. And ultimately, they decide what happens to it. And Link's always been a dude in every game, and you can change his name, whatever you want in all the titles. Um, but name aside, he's still the same person
Yeah.
in every game and every story. So the reason why it should be changed in this, it shouldn't, because Link's been an iconic character for over 20 years, and it's just it would be silly to kind of do that. If people want kind of like uh I don't know exactly how long. I want to say maybe like 2009 on this DS there was a Mario title game where you played as Peach.
Mm-hmm. Super Princess Peach.
Yeah. She wasn't, it wasn't like a reversal, like Bowser stole Mario and Peach is going to like do it. It's an entirely different story where like Peach is like fighting Bowser because Bowser stole something of hers.
Yeah. And a lot of people pan that game because, like, oh, crying. That's like one of her superpowers. She cries and like floods the screens. It's like, oh, that's just, that's being stereotypical. It wasn't being stereotypical. Peach is that character.
She's a damsel in distress.
Yes. Sorry. If you don't like that, don't play Mario games. If you don't like the fact that Link is a guy, don't play Legend of Zelda games. It's just we just gotten to this point where within the cultural discussion, we just think that gender can be swapped with anything and it doesn't affect anything. And that's just not true.
No, especially when, you want to swap something that's been, stamped
Established.
into history for more than 10 years. Like Link, I don't know if people like hearing this. Link's a guy. He's a dude. Zelda's a girl. There have been different Zeldas. There have been different Links.
Yeah.
There have even like in Twilight Princess, Zelda was not a damsel in distress. She had a bow and she was a strong leader in the Hyrule Kingdom. And
Look at Wind Waker.
Yeah,
She's leading a pack of pirates.
yeah, like she's not a damsel in distress character like Peach is. However, there's not a lot to go on with her. I guess you could, do something with Sheik because she's also Sheik.
Yeah.
And Sheik's another very strong female character that has fighting capabilities. In some games, Zelda is a strong female character with fighting capabilities. However, that's not the case in all of them because
Right.
they're not the same people. They're all different.
Yeah, and even Impa ranges anywhere from like this really old, decrepit, scary kind of lady to a very capable fighter in her own right. So it's like these characters, they do have ranges even within the gender that they're already assigned.
Yeah.
If you want to make the character different, you don't have to just change the character or change the gender for them. That's just not. It's just not the way to go about it. Let's just keep our games.
Link's Link, Zelda's Zelda.
End of story.
Yeah. Let's just look forward to what's going to be an amazing game that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah, and stop the belly aching in the meantime.
Yeah.